Welcome to the SDA Housing Podcast, brought to you by NDIS Property Australia. Before starting this episode, we need to provide a general disclaimer. Information contained in this podcast is general in nature only. It does not take into account the objectives, financial situation, or needs of any particular person. You need to consider your financial situation and needs before making any decisions based on the information in this podcast. And you should consider seeking independent and professional advice for your personal circumstances. All right, let's begin.
Hello everybody, my name is Minh and I'm your host from NDIS Property Australia, and listen to the SDA Housing Podcast. Australia explains, highlights, guides and brings awareness about all things SDA in this ever-changing NDIS world. Today I'm in Melbourne, Box Hill of all places, great place here. I'm with Paramount Disability Homes, Kevin Chen and Jonathon Chen. Jonathon, Kevin, how are you?
I'm good, man.
We're very good seeing you in Melbourne.
I love it here. I love all the action down here with SDA. Box Hill, I'm very curious. This is a great place. Tell me more about it, Jonathon. Tell me about Box Hill.
Yeah, Box Hill is a really, really strong area for SDA. It's really hard to get a project off the ground just because the land prices are a bit expensive. And there is a huge group home population here as well. So getting an SDA in Box Hill is a challenge, but there's definitely opportunity.
Now, I'm in this high-rise building here. I'm looking around the area and I see a few high-rises, commercial and mostly residential. A lot of land out there as well, just spacious land out there. Is this a hotspot? Is Box Hill, do you think? This is inner east, right?
Yep.
Inner east Melbourne. Is this a hotspot, Jonathon?
Yeah, it's really, really strong just because the large group home population in here. And we definitely have a lot of SIL partners that are looking for SDA just around that Billdale train station line, which Box Hill is part of.
Give me some substance to those numbers. A large group home population. What does that mean? We're talking 5, 10, 1,000. How many group homes do you think are in the area here?
Probably around 60. Just looking at the SDA finder from then.
Wow. So is that 5 per group home?
Yeah, it's roughly between 4 to 5.
So that's about 300-ish.
Yeah.
How many SDAs in the area here?
There's not that many. There's one apartment that's in the pipeline right now that gets finished in a year. There's some small villas. There's not many houses. It's just a bit too hard to get.
Is there a cluster of apartments, 10 or 15 in one project here of SDA?
Not right now.
No. Yeah, there is one that will be developed maybe in the next 1 to 2 years. But Box Hill, just to give you a bit more substance, we're in the middle of between Maroondah, which is the outer east, and the inner east, which is sort of Boroondara area. And it's quite a central place in the eastern suburbs. Got a big hospital here, Box Hill Hospital, and a range of new developments, so high rises in this whole area. So there is a huge population of NDIS participants in the eastern region with a huge lack of supply of housing.
But boys, I don't understand. Why is there no SDA in Box Hill? Don't tell me land prices, because you would get land prices be high everywhere around Melbourne, in theory, but there's nothing here. I'm just surprised no one's coming here as a builder or developer to do SDAs here. Your thoughts?
A lot of developers still don't know about SDA, is my thought. A lot of the development here, they don't necessarily understand it, so it's very hard for them to, retrospectively, it would have been nice if they had put in, 10% SDA in some of these high-rise apartments, but they haven't.
So these group homes, are they all SDA participants?
Yes. So the problem with the group homes, obviously run by the state government in Victoria here, most of these participants are, on that SDA legacy or basic funding.
Mm-hmm.
So they're they're SDA funded participants, but on about under $20,000 per home. So they're on a grandfathered sort of scheme, sure, and their funding was approved many, many years ago when SDA just came about.
So let's go through a case study here. Example. You said to me earlier today, there is some group home SIL providers who are eager to get them out, or this is jumping out of that product, into new build SDAs right now. If they were to come out tomorrow, what's the process in getting them from the 20 grand SDA base funding to one 3 res funding in a house to apartment funding, moving on. What's the process there, please?
Yes. So it's quite lengthy, but to break it down very simply, if you're already funded for SDA on the legacy stock, having SDA in your plan, you're very likely to continue to get SDA.
Mm-hmm.
So you would need to put in a change of circumstances in S48 to pretty much bump up that funding or update that funding to new build house 3 res.
And you mentioned to me earlier, 40 days-ish?
Yeah. So the NDIS is quite quick with the first initial feedback that they give.
And just to clarify, because they're already SDA funded on the group home level, it's a quick turnaround time to get it boosted up, correct?
It's a much quicker time frame.
But if they were not SDA at all,
yeah,
we're talking 6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 months, yeah, with no sort of guarantee.
Okay.
But yeah, this is essentially, they know what category they're in. So if they're on improved livability, all it really is just bumping up the funding.
Okay. So a quick turnaround boost. Okay, cool. So it gets boosted up to the 1 to 3 IL or FA house funding. Okay, cool.
Yep.
And then we could possibly move them into a brand new IL FA apartment, correct?
Yeah.
With that current
house funding, because choice and control belongs to the participants. Obviously, right now in Box Hill, in this eastern pocket, houses aren't quite feasible. So, the best option is a brand new apartment, and these apartments can facilitate for 60 grand on the basis that we go through another change of circumstances to get them apartment funding.
Now, what surprised me, Jonathon, earlier today was when you guys talked to me about the location factor of Box Hill, 1.16 for housing. So in IL 1 to 3 resident house funding is about 75,000-ish.
I'll just double check that.
Can you please double check that, Kevin?
I'll double check that.
Ladies and gentlemen, please hold tight. We're going to get Kevin to confirm this. We wouldn't want to give wrong information.
Yes, 75,000 inclusive
of
MRRC.
Yeah. Okay. MRRC of $13,000, which, by the way, means maximum rent contribution, reasonable rent contribution. Yeah, cool. 75,000. So that is for house funding. So let's say we bring that participant who's IL funded in the house, apply for the single resident apartment, 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom. It's up to the vendor to accept the application at 75. And you know what? 75,000 at that kind of number in Box Hill on a purchase of an apartment, which we're going to look at refurbishing or enrolling as a slightly refurbed IL resident at about 650 to 700 grand-ish. It's a pretty good,
it's a very good
outcome for investment. Now, for the 1-bed, 1-resident apartments, they're about 650-ish, possibly. Okay. And without the car park, we're looking at possibly high fives. So again, when you bring the tenant applying for application for tenancy in this SDA dwelling, being an IL apartment, for example, the numbers are the numbers. They're bringing the house running over to this apartment. It's up to the SDA provider to talk to the owner of the apartment to say yes or no. Whether they get in the path of a change of circumstances for the apartment funding in the future after having moved in is another topic. And Kevin, your experience or your understanding of that process there is, it's complicated? Is it easy? What do you think?
It's complicated and would probably require us to go to the tribunal.
Yep.
And, obviously we can justify it given that the participant has, the right circumstances to qualify for that apartment funding.
And that could be as high as up to 90K-ish.
Or even more, 7K.
For an IL.
For an IL 1-bedroom, 1-resident.
Boys, I think Box Hill is a hidden gem in Melbourne. I honestly believe that. I just can't believe there's no stock here. And there's abundant supply of newish builds of apartments in these high rises here, which could be maybe converted into IL. Because Kevin, there isn't much modification or changes to a normal apartment into an IL apartment. Not really, is there? There's no major structural changes internally.
Yeah, not too much changes.
There's no ramps. There's not much to do.
Not much to do. Like if you have a look at normal improved livability property, a lot of them get disguised as, just a normal resident house. Differences aren't too big.
Luminance, different colors maybe. There's no ramps. The width of the door frames and doorways is standard anyway at 900 millimeters, I think. But it's you're a neighbor body person, so.
Yep.
You don't require an extra wide door frame at all. Look, and I bring this topic up today in the podcast because I'm just very surprised at this information I'm absorbing today at Box Hill in Melbourne here with Paramount Disability Homes. And I reckon there's an opportunity here for people to look for other opportunities around Melbourne that they may not be aware of. And I just didn't, I'm just really going to really enjoy working with you boys in Box Hill for the next 6 to 12 months in trying to deliver some of these, apartments to SDA level compliance to the market for Box Hill group homes that are going to come out in the next 6 to 12 months around here that need housing. And the reality is there is none. There's no housing or SDA that I understand of currently existing right now, but there needs to be more here. If we're talking 300, let's say we halve it to half, 150, and there's potentially 20, 30 houses to be built there, and then maybe another 40, 50 apartments there. So yeah, there's a massive demand here.
Yeah, huge demand. And like when you look at Box Hill, you see so many sky rises just developed in the last 5 years, and there's nothing here that's disability friendly. We think it's probably the best and quickest option to get some of these vacant, apartment blocks and see if we can, make them disability friendly to support that population.
So the next steps, I think our next steps together, we here is getting an SDA assessor, come in after the architect or designer reviews the construction drawings of the existing floor plans of these apartments that are empty. And there's about 40 to 60 here that are all empty and available for sale, which we want to explore the potential of making them into IL SDA compliant apartments for one residence. Then on to the SDA assessor to assess them one by one, and then do our own internal due diligence from our point of view. We'd love to get from you guys at Paramount or your brand Vital House, a comfort letter on the market you see and Box Hill itself. And then if you have a couple of providers that you're talking to already in Box Hill, guys, maybe a comfort letter from them as well. Just show their interest. Because we want to be able to show our investors and other people out there that there is your support, their support, them confirming that they actually have participants that are SDA funded already on a base level at least, and wouldn't take that long to get them up to the house funding level. Just to look at this, And the great thing is, guys, this is not an SDA apartment. I mean, if what you're saying is right, Kevin, an SDA IL apartment is pretty much the same as a normal apartment. We're not applying for an SDA home mortgage here. It's a normal mortgage. That's just the facts. I'm not sugarcoating. It's built. It's in front of us. We're touching it today. Here it is. It's not off planning.
You've had a look at the apartments.
And if there's no change to be made, it's going to be a simple purchase of a normal apartment and then enrollment into the NDIA and then certification. That's all it is. So I'm really hoping that this is going to work out well. I really am. And I think it should be okay. But time will tell in the next few weeks whether we get this ball rolling here. But this is an example, guys, of opportunities out there in Melbourne like this, which I think we'll enjoy helping you guys work with for the marketplace as well. Do you guys see any other opportunities like this around Melbourne that are similar to this kind of Box Hill scenario at all?
It's quite rare to find a large cluster of vacant apartment blocks. What's your sort of take on it?
I mean, Glen Waverley does have a few apartment dwellings around that area. We haven't fully explored if there are any sort of vacancies, but there is huge demand around Glen Waverley as well.
Glen Waverley, haven't heard that.
It's in the southeast.
I haven't had many people mention those words, as in projects or developments or houses or, okay.
Yeah, but if we go knocking on some people's doors, find if there's any sort of vacancies, I think this is a good strategy to support this disability sort of population that need housing in these infield areas, because housing is just, it takes too long. There's not enough people developing.
So I'm going to throw it back to you guys. I mean, if I didn't come to Box Hill today, I wouldn't have realised the opportunity here. That's just me. And I sort of flew down to Melbourne here. And Glen Waverley, I have no idea where that is, or I've never been in my life. But again, that's number two. How does a person who's a listener on our podcast show here, how would they go about trying to figure out these hidden spots, hidden gems out there in their metro area? How would you advise them to go figure out the hidden gems out there?
In terms of location, what I would probably do is just on Housing Hub. So Housing Hub is like the REA of realestate.com of .com.au of the disability space. And
I know that, but it's a great portal, the Housing Hub. However, it's flawed in the fact that it doesn't show pipeline or under construction. It may not show that.
It may not show that.
And my point is, I didn't know about Box Hill until I came here today. So how does someone else out there listening to this show who is a developer, investor, or builder, how do they identify a gem in this city here?
I think they'll just be talking to people in the industry. We're on the ground. We talk to SIL providers every single day. We know where the demand is. We can provide comfort letters from our SIL providers that say they need specific housing.
So it's okay. I'm going to throw a smart ass comment back to you boys. We've been talking for about 8-9 months now. You've never told me about Box Hill. Why have you kept it a secret from me?
We just thought it would be a bit too hard to build here. There's just...
But yet, it's also empty here.
It's your idea.
Yeah.
So credit goes to you.
Yeah, but you know it's undersupply.
Yeah, we didn't know how to address the undersupply. But obviously this year there's a lot of talks about transitioning participants out of group homes.
Yes.
And only sort of in the last few months, I would say, more and more of these, need for housing in the inner east, outer east has come to our radar. And we are just thinking of every possible way to get them the right housing.
Yep.
And they're not keen on moving anywhere to, in the greenfield areas, the southeast. It's too far from them. That's the general feedback. We need to stay in this area. We've been here for a long, long time. Our families are here. So they, it's just about bringing the right product. Yeah.
Cool. Well, guys, I think I'll stay there for now. I don't want to give too much Box Hill information out there when then we'll have an oversupply tomorrow. I think we're going to really enjoy working with you guys at Vital House, Paramount Disability Homes, in working with the developers here, in looking at how we can make these empty apartments into IL compliance. And as you may all recall, in the compliance build guidelines, if it's older than 8 years old, you'll spend the minimum build costs, renovation costs out there. If it's older than 8, 9 years.
Older than 8, yeah, only older than 8.
Younger than that, then there's no minimum spend at all, as long as it's compliant with regard to the guidelines. Yeah, that's all it is. Anyway, boys, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate the invite down to Melbourne at Box Hill here. Can't wait to come back next month and smash out all these opportunities here in Melbourne. Yeah. Thanks very much, Kevin. Jonathon.
Bye-bye. Easy.
Thanks, Minh.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode. Please make sure you are subscribed and following us so you can keep in the loop with all of our upcoming episodes. We would really appreciate it if you could leave us a 5-star rating, a written review, and just share this podcast with those that could benefit. Until next time, catch you on the next episode.